Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I'm Claudia and I have done 2 videos recently where I basically judge book covers for classic novels unnecessarily harshly, but they're good fun and I enjoy looking at bad covers of good books. I did one about The Picture of Dorian Gray and one about Jane Eyre. So I thought today I'm going to have a look at my own bookshelves and see what amazingly trashy covers I can find on there. I should preface this by saying that I love all of these books that I'm about to show you and I love their cover design. And when I say trashy or bad, I mean that with a lot of love. They are maybe not the pinnacle of aesthetic perfection, but clearly they were enough to make me buy the book. Every single one of these I bought secondhand, either in a charity shop or online. Let's get started. The first book is one that I'm currently reading, so I can't even tell you if the cover is particularly relevant for the story or not. It is this edition of Vile Bodies by Evelyn Waugh. Why did I say the name weirdly? By Evelyn Waugh. This is a Dell edition. I found out while making the videos about Jane Eyre and Dorian Gray book covers that Dell might just be my favorite. Dell might just be my favorite purveyor of trashy book covers. I know, I'm sorry Wordsworth Classics, but I think Dell might just take the crown because almost all of their cover designs I found. Minerva wants you all to know that she's here. I swear she does not hang out with me as much as she does when I'm filming. It's like she senses the camera's on and she's like, ah ha ha, it's Minerva time. You just want everyone to see your cute little triangular face, don't you? All right, now be good though. That's a lie. I hope you can hear me over the purring. Dell produces excellent trashy book covers. This one's no exception. Behold the glory of this. Look at this silly little angelic figure there in a cute dress with a cute smile and the text that says, a rakish portrait of untamed youth. If that doesn't make you want to buy the book, well, that or the price of 25 cents, which honestly, I don't know how much that was in real money at the time that this edition was published. I think this one is from the 1960s, I want to say. It's got that slightly fungal old book smell. Another thing that I love about this, other than this beautifully pulpy book cover, is that the side of the pages has got a turquoise tint to it. Excellent start. This is the book that inspired this whole video, by the way. Next up, I want to show you another just unfortunately funny cover for a really quite beautiful collection of short stories, and that is Oscar Wilde's The Happy Prince and Other Tales. Oscar Wilde wrote 2 collections of sort of arty fairy tales, and this is the better one. This is the one you should start with if you haven't read any Oscar Wilde fairy tales yet. And here on the cover we have a scene from the titular story, The Happy Prince, which is a story featuring a statue of a happy prince. So here you can see the statue and he doesn't look very happy, does it? This is a over-the-top sentimental fairy tale about the richness of human connection and the harsh realities of poverty. Look at his silly little face. Look at him. It does not do it justice. That's the same face I make in a cafe when they tell me they don't have any non-dairy options and I have to decide whether to fall asleep from lack of caffeine or to endure lactose-induced stomach cramps. What a gem. Now, this next one is a Wordsworth classic. And if you've ever seen a Wordsworth classic, then you know exactly how to brace yourself for it. Wordsworth, I think they must do it on purpose, always come up with the worst possible cover image for any given classic. I don't know why they do it. I think they've just been trolling us for decades, and good on them. I fall for it every single time. I bought this edition of Bram Stoker's Dracula in a charity shop, and words cannot describe the sheer ugliness of this. I like a middle-aged goth as much as the next person, but this dude seriously needs a nap and a bath and a litre of moisturiser. Though I'm a little bit jealous of those eyebrows. It's a frightful sight. If this book is supposed to scare you, then, you know, fair enough. Mission accomplished. We continue with a Wordsworth classic, Jane Austen. And that is, this is so bad. This is Persuasion. Just behold it. Just look at it. I showed all of these books to my husband Bill when I thought about which books to talk about. And he looked at this and his first words were, I quote, "That's a bit hot." What am I supposed to make of that? Does he expect me to like Google sexy bonnets and like buy a few or something? Suddenly learned something about him I didn't know before. Not to kink shame or anything, but to me she just looks like someone who got caught up in a rainstorm and really desperately needs the toilet. This edition is from 1993. The funny thing is, right, that Persuasion is possibly the least frivolous, no, not possibly, definitely the least frivolous of Jane Austen's novels. If I showed you this without context and asked you which Jane Austen heroine do you think this is, 0% of you would say this is definitely Anne Elliot. This is so far off the mark that it makes it all the more baffling, precious, and I love that I have this edition on my shelf. Now we follow up with a Penguin edition of an early 20th century classic, and this is Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier. If you've seen my book review video of Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier, then you already know this cover. I love it so much. Oh, look at him. This, if you don't know, is a romance, and the sexy, hot, darkly dangerous love interest is a pirate, whom not even in my deepest nightmares I imagine looking like this. I love him so much because this is so obviously a 1970s imagining of what a 17th century pirate might have looked like. Just look at the hair, look at that shade of yellow. I can picture this dude at like Glastonbury 1972. I mean, I can smell the weed from the cover. I love that whoever designed this book cover, and I'm not going to name and shame them, Charles Raymond. I love that the cover designer got the brief, design a sexy French pirate for the cover of this book about sexy French pirates, and this is what they came up with. For this next one, we go even further back to the 1960s. Well, a 1960s edition of a Victorian classic. This is George Eliot's Silas Marner. And to be entirely fair, this is not nearly as bad as the ones that I've just shown you, but it made this list for two reasons. One of them is the kind of ingenious use of exactly two colours, which is this beige and this fuchsia, but also because how this use of those limited colours ended up with hilarious consequences when applied to the humans in this dramatic scene, such as this man with bright pink hair and the face the colour of the walls in my secondary school, and this dude over here with blonde hair and a face like someone who's been on the claret for at least 17 hours. This next book is one that you've probably not heard of, but it is actually my favourite children's novel, and that is, like I said, you won't know this. And this is The Tunnel Behind the Waterfall by William Corlett. This is the third book in a quadrilogy, is that what you call it? A series of 4 books. The third one, the first one is called The Steps Up the Chimney. So if you've heard of any books in this series, it's probably the first one. This came out, I believe, in the 1990s, and this edition is probably from that time. I don't know if it is a first edition. Like I said, I bought all of these secondhand. This is from 2001, 10 years after its publication. Let's not spend too much time on this. Just look at this poor child and the face he's making. I don't know who they thought this was going to appeal to. I'm going to be honest, if I'd seen this in a bookshop in the year 2001, age 10, I would never have bought it. I bought this edition knowing the book already because I read the German translation of the book, which, by the way, has a much better cover. This next cover has no redeeming qualities. For all of these, I'm like, yeah, they're kind of ugly, but they're kind of cute in a quaint, quirky sort of way. No, there's nothing cute, there's nothing quaint, there's nothing quirky about this one. This one's just purely bad. It's this edition of I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. This book is from the 1950s. This edition is from, oh goodness, this is actually from this century. This is from 2007. What were they thinking? No redeeming qualities at all for this. I'm guessing from the fact that this says the book that inspired the hit motion picture, that maybe this is a scene from the hit motion picture. I don't know. There's just so much wrong with this, starting from the color design of the title, the font, and obviously those. To be fair, we've all been in nightclubs that look like this. I'm joking. I've not been to a nightclub. So there you go. Just a few trashy / ugly / interesting, fun, quirky book covers that are on my shelf. I like a good looking book cover. Oh, who doesn't? Who doesn't want a beautiful object to hold in one's hand and fluffle? Soft, triangular, squeaky thing. So soft. Minerva looks very sharp. You know, she's got pointy ears and a pointy little face, but her fur is so silky. The point I was making was, yeah, we like a pretty book cover. We like an aesthetically pleasing thing on our shelves. But I also have a lot of love for the ugly, the trashy, the unique book covers. These are things you don't find in bookshops. These are things that you only really find in second-hand bookshops, in antique bookshops, in charity shops, and of course, the depths of the internet. I'll continue to collect trashy book covers from the 20th century. I think they are beautiful relics of a bygone era of aesthetics. And it just makes me happy to read a book that I know is good, but that you really, really wouldn't be able to tell if you just judge it by its poorly designed cover. Thank you for watching. Bye.